planning to leave my 31M cheating wife, 30F. Need support and advice. First, some background. My wife and I met online 6 years ago, and I moved to the US from an Asian country for our relationship. I have no family here and am on a spousal visa. Eventually, I was able to get a pretty good job here, and my wife quit her job to focus on her art. She isn't making money from it yet. We have no kids, and my wife despises my family. I would have preferred that she'd be on good terms with them, given how they're thousands of miles away, and I left them for a life with her. A few months after I moved here, 4 years ago, I happened to innocently check her phone and found many messages with a guy I had never heard of. They were not explicit, but definitely romantic. Needless to say, I was pretty shocked, and I moved out and got my own place. I forgave her because I chalked it up to the stress of a formerly long-distance relationship. That was mistake number 1, although I used to believe that if we had been in love for so long in a LDR, it must be true love. Fast forward to now. 4 years after that incident, and I'm in a lucrative, fulfilling job, we're renting a nice home, haven't purchased a house yet, thank goodness, and yes, we have issues, details below, but our lives are better than ever before. We've moved to a different city 2 hours away, but she still visits our previous city for therapy and visit friends. We have an open phone policy at her request. I needed to look up someone's contact info, so I unlocked hers. Her FB app had the guy's profile up, and they're friends on FB. I don't use FB, so I had no idea. Honestly, it took me a few minutes to recall who he was, because I had blocked out those memories. Needless to say, I was pretty surprised they were still in touch. So later, when I got a chance, I went through her emails and messages. There was nothing in her inbox, but she had been archiving their emails, and they were talking many times per day. When I was at work, earning money for us. When I was asleep next to her. When she was making dinner for me in the kitchen. All of those times and more, she had been texting, emailing, calling him. This time, I didn't want to confront her because I wanted to see how far it went. But my resolve cracked in a few days, as they made plans to meet again. Even then, I first asked her to come clean herself. I was hoping that this was a one-off mistake, that she'd be sorry and we'd move on. She wasn't sorry. She refused to reveal anything, and trickle-truthed me over many days. And to be honest, I do not believe that they had sex, reasons below. But it was definitely an emotional affair, which probably escalated to making out. Emotional cheating is still cheating. She also told me that she not liked, him, and that if I ended our marriage, she'd try to see if they can work out, although she doesn't want that to happen. So yeah, this was 2 months ago. At this point, I was still open to couples therapy to work through our issues. She also wrote him a letter stating her commitment to me and ending their emotional affair. But my trust had been shaken up, so I didn't take that at face value. All the same, I stayed loving and cordial, for the most part, but refused to be intimate with her. Side note. Now, I must add that we've never had a healthy, intimate relationship. She has some past sexual traumas, so we have always struggled to get intimate. Sex once every 4 to 6 months, if that. But I prioritized her emotional well-being over my sex life. This, I believe, is basic decency, and I'm not expecting praise for it. But it's important to state that the relationship has been emotionally and sexually unfulfilling for me. To make it worse, she would routinely blame our issues, and her issues, on me. I am not affectionate enough, my family is terrible, our past was too difficult, and that's why we can't be intimate. Or go 1 week without fighting, or why she's justified in yelling at me, shoving me, slapping me during arguments, I need to man up, etc. She's used very racist language to describe my family and my culture during fights. And if you're wondering why I married her at all, she either wasn't like this before, or was really, really good at hiding it. She's in therapy, but I believe she's been misdiagnosed as dissociative, because everything I've read about BPD, bipolar, applies to her to a T. So yes, our marriage is emotionally and sometimes physically abusive. Off late, she has been saying that if I try to leave her, she will use her country's laws to ruin my life. I'm guessing that she could make a false domestic violence allegation against me. If she were only abusive, perhaps it would be easy for me to end this. But she is also sweet. She seems genuinely fragile and vulnerable to me, and I know that ending our marriage would break her. Her family doesn't like her and she's financially dependent on me. I'm starting to understand that abusive relationships do not necessarily mean that the person is an abuser. What I mean is that she is struggling herself and not doing this in a planned, sadistic way. This subreddit has been helping me immensely. I haven't posted here before, but I read it every day to educate myself. A few days back, I learned about the cycle of abuse, and it describes my experience in our marriage. It's the love and fragility that makes it hard for me to leave, despite the abuse and cheating. I love her. I also pity her. A few days back, she was in that city again. There were no more texts or emails being exchanged, but I had my suspicions. So I tracked her phone, and what do I find? She's been living in his house while she's there. Not her girlfriend, as she told me. She's been getting around in his car. And in case Google Maps were wrong, I secretly check her texts with her girlfriend. She had cancelled plans with her GF. Checked the public transport account, which I set up when we were living there, to see if she took the bus anywhere. Our bank account for any Uber use. Everything added up. Question, which brings me to my questions. There's no doubt that I need to end our marriage. This is affecting my sanity. I cannot see myself ever being trusting and intimate with her again. And I do not want to forgive this, buy a house, only for it to happen again in the future, divorce then and lose my assets, or never find out. I have already spoken with an immigration attorney and he told me that because I entered the marriage in good faith, and have the evidence to prove it, it's very unlikely that I will get deported. I haven't sought a second opinion because in any case, I'm still going to end this marriage. I will be speaking with a divorce attorney next week. Should I be meeting more than one? Anything specific I should ask them? I'm pretty new to this. I've created a separate bank account and transferred most of our savings to that. Anything else I should do to protect myself financially? Should I get a restraining order, or would that be overkill? What will I need to get one? Aside from money and attorney, is there anything important I might be overlooking? Question 2. This is the most important question, so if you only answer one, please let it be this one. When she is visiting that city again later this week, irrespective of whether she meets him or not, I will be writing to her family and friends exposing the affair. I will be telling them that I fear false domestic violence allegations, and that until the divorce goes through, I will not be alone with her. I will be asking them to support her and have her stay at their place. If they do not, or if she returns to our home anyway, I will be renting a hotel room. Anything I should include/leave out to protect myself? I will also be reviewing this with the lawyer. When I write to her family and friends, should I include screenshots of her text messages, her Google timeline, etc. as proof? Or will that open me up to legal issues? And finally, how do I deal with this hurt? How do I prepare myself for the wave of depression that will come when she leaves/begs me not to go? I know that this will destroy her. Her tears will weaken my resolve, and her pain will cause me pain. I cannot let this reel me in. I've given her so many years, I've sacrificed so much for us, and I have no family and few friends here. I do not want to do this, but also do not want a lifetime of betrayal and lack of trust. Is there any way around this without divorcing? How do I help her deal with the fallout of what I am planning to do, and how do I protect myself legally and emotionally? How do I start healing? Thank you for reading and for all your support and advice. Update: WS has serious mental health issues. How do I support her while ending our marriage? Thank you to all who shared your valuable advice. It means a lot to me that you'd do this for a complete stranger, and I'll be paying it forward for the rest of my life. Since then, I've consulted 2 divorce attorneys and 2 immigration lawyers. The most sensible course of action seems to be filing for a legal separation and divorcing a couple years later when she's financially independent. Since I'm the only one of us with a job and she's on my insurance, and her family is horrible, a separation will allow us to part ways without ruining her completely. Despite what she's done, I do not want her to be homeless or lose access to medication. She is still showing no remorse, blaming my neglect for her seeing attention elsewhere. Her alibis have gotten more and more absurd. I honestly do not think they've slept together, but it doesn't matter. She will be moving in with her family by the end of this month. But it's pretty obvious to me that her mental health is failing. She's called me at work 50+ times in an hour. I was ignoring her calls. She's been having panic attacks. She screams and howls and sobs loudly after starting arguments at 2 a.m. This is pretty much every night. I have no doubt our neighbors think I'm abusing her. Yesterday, I got home from work to find that she had clawed and bruised herself all over her chest, arms and legs in the bath to punish herself. She's been telling me that she will kill herself if we divorce, and I think it's a real possibility. I know she needs professional help and she's been seeing a therapist for a while. Her appointments were her alibi for her affair. I'm also planning couples counseling after a few months of separation, for closure. By the way, contrary to what I said in my original post, I won't be exposing her affair to her family and friends. She needs their support. I have nothing to gain from doing so, except for favorable opinions of people I don't care about, and both family law attorneys I've consulted have advised against it. Moreover, I'm no longer worried about her abuse or threats because I've told her that I'll expose her affair to her friends and family, plus she'll lose income and insurance, so she's no longer trying it. I'm asking for advice regarding helping her cope with this, given her mental health. We've been best friends for years. She is troubled, prone to self-harm, dissociation, reliving childhood traumas and mental breakdowns. I'm not using these words lightly. I wish she'd never cheated on me. Despite my lack of happiness, emotional stability or sexual fulfillment, I would never have left her. I believe that ending our marriage is the only sensible course of action, but I want to do with as little harm to her and myself as possible. Thank you in advance for your kind replies.